Well, with me I have Christopher Logue, and he is with Cornell Cooperative Extension. We're very pleased to have him here. What is your position there?
I'm actually the executive director
Oh,
there.
you're the ED. I didn't know that, so I'm going to put that down right there, ED. And what are you, we're talking today about the Central Park greenhouses.
Yes.
And what's happening there, and why are you having funding difficulties?
So, well, we actually had done a project there starting in 1997. It was a horticulture job training program, and it was funded through a variety of sources over the years. And as times have gotten harder, and funding has gotten to be a little bit harder to come by, the funding for that project ended about a year ago.
And who was funding that?
That was funded through some temporary assistance for needy families money,
Oh, okay.
which is actually federal dollars that come down through the state and the county.
Okay.
And our partners on that project had been Schenectady County DSS and also the Soil and Water Conservation District and Schenectady Job Training. And
nice partnering.
Absolutely, and all those organizations are still partners with us on a number of projects. But in particular at the greenhouse, when the funding ended there, we as an organization had invested quite a bit of effort into trying to build that into a education center that was a little bit broader, and that was not necessarily only for horticulture job training folks, but also for the general public. And we kind of had seen that as a very unique resource. Along the way over the past 7 or 8 years, we also had sort of incubated the Roots and Wisdom program, and then that program has actually subsequently become a part of our program portfolio. And so we also use that greenhouse facility for that program as well. And as our major funding source was ending, we were looking at, well, how can we continue to keep that resource going and keep that facility going? Because one of the things, as you mentioned before the show, Cooperative Extension is a statewide system in New York, and in fact a national system throughout the country, among all of the land grant universities. And so I get to interact with a lot of my colleagues in other counties in New York as well as in other states. And that greenhouse facility is a facility that, frankly, very, very few municipalities or counties or cooperative extensions have access to. It's been built up over the past 50 or 60 years. Originally it was part of the city park system. It still sits obviously within Central Park.
And you see it, it's large and it's there.
Yeah, and so that facility is there, and to replace that from scratch today would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you probably would not be able to afford to do it.
But it's there.
But it's there, and actually it's had a pretty significant amount of grant funds in the past 15 to 17 years put into it to upgrade the facility. There are upgrades that still need to happen there to make it more energy efficient. But as I say, it's there. It can be a great educational asset within the community. It has been in the past several years, or ever since we've been working with it. And our goal has been to put together a coalition of folks from city and county government, as well as folks from other not-for-profits like ARC and Schenectady Intercity Ministries, who are really trying to do some fundraising efforts as well as some program planning efforts to try to stabilize the funding for that facility.
It would be wise to get that kind of firm, the funding.
Exactly.
One of the things who takes care of this? Do you have volunteers? Do you have paid employees? How does that work?
So really in the past year, it's been a mix of folks. Initially, for quite a number of years, we actually had 2 paid employees there when we had clients 5 days a week. But over the past year, we've been sort of piecing it together with some of our Roots and Wisdom staff, some of our folks who do recycling education, certainly our Master Gardener volunteers.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you have your Master Gardener volunteers, or people who belong to garden clubs or are interested in gardens? Many people have moved to apartments that no longer can have their own garden.
Absolutely.
Would they be? Would you welcome them to come and help you?
Absolutely. We welcome anybody who wants to come and help us. We had several work days over the past summer and fall, and we had very, very broad participation. We had 4-H youth. We had youth who had been involved over the years in the Roots and Wisdom program. We had our members of our board of directors, very diverse group, and those types of work days really allow us to say, okay, well, today we're going to take care of, you know, this set of gardens, and we're going to get them cleaned up and looking good. And so that's kind of the way we've been doing it. What we've done for the winter, because of the fact that fuel is very expensive, we've sort of mothballed the facility for January and February. We've shut the water off. We are there from time to time, you know, checking on things. If we get a big snowstorm like we did over the holidays period, you know, one of us has to go and turn the furnaces on to melt the snow off the glass, because that's one of the real challenges with a greenhouse facility is that if it's not heated and the snow builds up on it, it can break the glass out of it and damage
now,
the structure.
When we talk about as an educational program, what are you training the people for that come there? I mean, is it for like work in a floral company or work in, I mean, what exactly is it?
So historically what we did is we trained folks to work within the greenhouse industry in the region. Over the past year, we've really changed our focus because our funding has changed, and in reality the demand for workers in the horticulture industry has changed drastically. But we really changed our focus over the past year or so to vegetable production and also towards youth programming, because what we find with all the different youth programs that we're doing is, although we're not going to train every kid who comes into our program, whether it's Roots and Wisdom or 4-H or what have you, to be a farmer, we're really raising the awareness, and we've had some youth who've been in Roots and Wisdom as well as in 4-H who have gone on to agricultural careers, and others that have gone on to, you know, related things, because those programs have been very holistic. They're not only teaching kids about agriculture and food production and nutrition, but they're also teaching them about involvement in the community, because a big part of Roots and Wisdom as well as 4-H has been community service.
Now, are you at all involved with community gardens?
We have been involved, historically we were involved with community gardens. Actually, when I started working in Schenectady County as at the time called the agriculture agent, and they don't call us that anymore, now we're extension educators. But when I started,
got a new name.
There you go. There you go.
Same work, good new
exactly.
name.
Same work, new name. But when I started 20 years ago as the agriculture agent here, we actually were working on community gardens.
Very important.
We did that for probably about 5 or 6 years, and then those got transferred over to Capital District Community Gardens, who really has specialized in that around the region. They've done a fantastic job with gardens here in the city as well as in the other municipalities around the region.
Right, yeah. Well, it's important, I think, in this day and age, that when we see so much obesity and people eating foods that are probably not the best foods to be eating, we need to raise that awareness about fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and that we can grow them, how to grow them, maybe in even a small area in your backyard or on your deck or something. We can have fresh fruits or fresh vegetables mainly is what you'd be growing, except for strawberries maybe.
Sure.
And to raise that awareness, and especially in kids growing up, I mean, they really don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that, as you really look at the youth that are involved in a lot of these programs that we do, whether it's in nutrition or in within Roots and Wisdom or 4-H, you know, only about 1.5% of the population is directly involved in agriculture anymore. And if you go back to the turn of the 20th century, you know, it was 30-40%. It was very, very big. So there's really a lack of awareness, and through a lot of the work that we've been doing in nutrition as well as our other programs, we really find a lack of knowledge in youth, a lack of, not appreciation per se, but that lack of knowledge, and we need to build that they appreciate where their food comes from. And I think that this facility in Central Park is a fantastic opportunity to do that.
What a resource.
Absolutely.
How would they get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with me through our website, which is actually www.cceschenectady.org.
Wait, CCE Schenectady?
Yep.
Full word?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't get that. .org. Okay, good. And I'll put that on Facebook and also in my next newsletter to make sure you get that correct email or website so you can check it out. Very important. I think the one I gave you that came up there might have been one that, did you correct it? You did correct it.
We corrected it.
Okay,
the one
good.
you had was actually right.
It would have gotten there, but it was too long.
Exactly. We made a sort of connector with the CCESchenectady.org because that other web address is very, very lengthy.
Very long.
Yes.
Yeah. Bob Bauer from the, I'm sorry, Chris Logue. You're coming up next, Bob. I'm sorry. Chris Logue from the Cornell Cooperative Extension and representing the wonderful greenhouses in Central Park. If you haven't seen them, stop over and take a look at them. At least drive by and see what a wonderful resource that we have in our area. Schenectady today in and around the capital region.